The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
And good morning. Good to have you with us here at 5 a.m. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher. Back in studio this morning after being up at the Fire Camp 9 for the last couple of days. They still, though, have a lot of work ahead of them.
And we begin this morning with breaking news. A person was hit and killed in Southwest Bakersfield. You're taking a live look at the scene. It happened about an hour ago on Taft Highway near Ash Road. According to CHP, the eastbound lanes on Taft Highway are fully closed and the westbound lanes are partially closed. So try to avoid the area while officials investigate. We're still waiting to get more information from California Highway Patrol on what exactly happened. We'll keep you posted as soon as we learn more.
Your time now is 5:02. Evacuations continue in Afghanistan less than 24 hours after a deadly suicide bombing attack at the Kabul airport. At least 95 Afghans and more than a dozen U.S. soldiers were killed. This morning, President Biden is promising to track down the terrorists responsible and vowing they'll not stop airlifts out of the region. Jay Gray's in Washington with the latest.
Maddie, before yesterday's attack, it had been 565 days since a U.S. soldier died in Afghanistan. Now, in what's supposed to be the final days of evacuations there, the mission has changed dramatically. The first blast was just outside the main gate at the Kabul airport. The second, near a crowded hotel about 100 yards away. The attack, one of the deadliest in the 2 decades U.S. troops have been on the ground in Afghanistan. More than 60 civilians killed, at least 13 American soldiers dead, more than a dozen injured. In the wake of the deadly rampage, the commander-in-chief showing a full range of emotion.
They're the spine of America, the best the country has to offer.
The pain of loss followed minutes later by the promise of justice.
We will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay.
ISIS has claimed responsibility for what it calls the martyrdom operation. U.S. military leaders warning.
The threat from ISIS is extremely real. We expect those attacks to continue, and we're doing everything we can to be prepared for those attacks.
While continuing airlifts, the White House saying around 7,500 people were evacuated in a 12-hour period after the attack. Still, though, more than 1,000 American citizens remain in the region. More than 100,000 Afghans who've supported U.S. troops.
The challenge is complete the extraction of U.S. forces and then deal with the consequences in a sensible way.
And getting them out is going to be a lot tougher now. The president says he will stick to his end-of-the-month deadline, leaving just 4 days now to get civilians, about 6,000 U.S. troops and all their equipment out of Afghanistan. In Washington, Jay Gray, 17 News.
Several local lawmakers weighing in yesterday on the bombing attacks in Kabul, where again at least 13 U.S. military members were killed. In a statement, Republican Congressman Kevin McCarthy said in part, "My prayers go out to those who were injured and the families of those who were killed. Our enemies have taken advantage of the chaotic nature of the withdrawal." McCarthy also called for an emergency session of Congress and the passage of a bill to prohibit withdrawing U.S. troops from Afghanistan until every American is out of that country. State Senator Shannon Grove of Bakersfield also issuing a statement saying America must take swift action to ensure no U.S. citizens are left behind.
Breaking overnight, at least 2 people were seriously hurt in a rollover crash. It happened just before 10 o'clock last night on Alfred Harrell Highway, just east of Fairfax Road. We haven't got an update from California Highway Patrol, but witnesses on scene say at least 2 people were taken to the hospital. No word yet on how the crash happened.
And now to the French fire, which continues to burn its way through the Kern River Valley, forcing thousands to evacuate and threatening the lives and livelihoods of people who live there. The wildfire's grown to more than 22,000 acres. Containment still at just 19% as of the last update. Again, that fire is impacting communities in the Kern River Valley, just west of Lake Isabella, about 40 miles northeast of Bakersfield toward the Kern County to Larry County border. Here's a look at the areas under evacuation orders. The bright red is the perimeter of the fire itself. The lighter red spots are areas under evacuation, including Alta Sierra, Wofford Heights, and Keysville. Kernville remains under an evacuation warning. That's seen here in yellow. Glenville and the area southwest now also in yellow. People living in areas under evacuation warnings are on standby, knowing they could be told to leave at a moment's notice.
This is the opportune time to take heed of that warning. Get everything ready, get your car full of gas, get all your personal documents, whatever you need that you cherish most. Put it in your car, put it in the trailer, and get ready to evacuate should that time come.
Crews are reminding you these conditions are dangerous and can change by the minute. So if you're asked to evacuate, leave.
The French fire has gorged itself on several homes and thousands of acres of land during its rampage through the drought-stricken mountains west of Lake Isabella. A local woman is grateful to escape with her cat, but she worries she may lose everything else. 17's Moses Small reports.
The French fire has scorched entire neighborhoods, leaving behind blackened hillsides and frantic evacuees wondering if they can return home. Marjorie Manning fled for her life as flames surged towards her home near Keysville.
And I told my son, I said, I'm out of here. Just the thought of not going home every night has really bothered me. Oh, it's all got to still be there when I get home. I would be so devastated.
She says her pets make the journey just a bit easier.
You be good kitty, okay?
They've been staying at an evacuation site for over a week.
My 2 dogs and my cat, and we left the chickens there to run all they wanted. I'm sure they're going to be glad to get home.
This isn't her first time leaving home. She lived here during the Erskine fire 5 years ago. Her husband passed away soon after.
But we lost everything in that fire. Our garage, our storage units, our mobile home.
Manning says her cat Garfield has been with her through both evacuations.
No.
She remembers the moment she decided to take him home.
Well, some kids were giving him away at the local market. And I said, oh, I like that one. So I brought him home. And my husband says, what are you going to call him? And I said, Garfield, what else? You know, he's a beautiful cat.
Meanwhile, first responders say the French fire has burnt nearly a dozen homes to the ground as the blaze threatened several mountain communities.
Red Cross workers actually drove over, checked out my house and checked out my chickens and said, the house is still standing and your chickens are still running around in their pen.
17's Moses Small reporting. If you need help rescuing your pets from the French fire, you can call Kern County Animal Services at 868-7100.
For those who need to leave the area, the American Red Cross has 3 evacuation centers: Woodrow Wallace Elementary School and Kern Valley High School, both in Lake Isabella. And just last night, they added Pioneer Elementary School in Delano, located at 1001 Height Avenue.
And the French fire is also disrupting traffic in and around the Kern River Valley. Highway 155 is closed from Pasco Road in Glenville all the way to the intersection with Highway 178 just south of Lake Isabella. Road closures in the area also include Nellie Dent Drive, Old State Road, and Sawmill Road all the way to Highway 155.
And a reminder, you can see all of our fire coverage on the French fire, including up-to-the-minute updates on evacuation orders and how to get free help finding and caring for pets and how to donate to help those impacted by the fire. Just head to our website, kget.com.
Meantime, the Calder fire in El Dorado County continues to creep closer to Lake Tahoe. Take a look at this video. The picturesque vacation destination has now become a thick haze of smoke and ash. The fast-growing fire has scorched nearly 140,000 acres and destroyed more than 630 structures. The fire is only 12% contained. Some 3,000 firefighters have been called in to help contain the spread.
Your time now is 5:11. Now to coronavirus in Kern County, with public health reporting nearly 500 new cases of COVID-19 yesterday and 1 new death. Nearly 8,000 people have tested positive for the virus this month alone. That's the most infections in a month since February. We've now lost 1,453 people to this virus since March of 2020. State data shows that 248 people are hospitalized locally with more severe symptoms and 43 are in the ICU. So far, there have been 243 breakthrough cases of vaccinated people still contracting the virus. That's just 0.07% of total cases. Only 15 vaccinated people, or 0.004%, have been hospitalized. No one in Kern County has been fully vaccinated and died from COVID-19, according to local health experts. By our count, 84 people have died since vaccinations became available to everyone.
And as you just saw with that update, the data shows that COVID-19 vaccines are highly effective. Those 12 and older who want a vaccine can make an appointment for all local vaccination sites. Just visit myturn.ca.gov. Recapping our top stories on this Friday morning, a man was hit and killed in Southwest Bakersfield. You're taking a live look at the scene. It happened about an hour and a half ago on Taft Highway near Ash Road. According to CHP, the eastbound lanes on Taft Highway are fully closed and the westbound lanes are partially closed. CHP says the man ran into the roadway before he was hit. Investigators believe drugs or alcohol may have played a factor in this crash. The French fire continues to burn its way through the Kern River Valley. The wildfire has grown to more than 22,000 acres. Containment still sitting at just 19% as of the last update. Crews are reminding everyone conditions are dangerous and can change by the minute. So if you are asked to evacuate, leave. Evacuations continue in Afghanistan less than 24 hours after a deadly suicide bombing attack at the Kabul airport. At least 95 Afghans and more than a dozen U.S. soldiers were killed. More than 1,000 American citizens are still in the region this morning.
An update now on a story we brought you yesterday. Convicted killer Parker Chamberlain has been found suitable for parole 20 years after stabbing his mother to death at the age of 15. The decision by a panel of the Board of Parole Hearings came yesterday during a nearly 4-hour hearing. Chamberlain was tried as an adult and convicted of murder in the grisly 2001 slaying of 40-year-old Tory Lynn Knapp. When asked why he should be released, Chamberlain said he was deeply remorseful and has managed to identify and replace character traits that led to the crime. Next comes a review process that can last months before the matter goes before Governor Gavin Newsom, who can block Chamberlain's release.
Recapping our top stories on this Friday morning, a man was hit and killed in Southwest Bakersfield. You're taking a live look at the scene. It happened about an hour and a half ago on Taft Highway near Ash Road. According to CHP, the eastbound lanes on Taft Highway are fully closed and the westbound lanes are partially closed. CHP says the man ran into the roadway before he was hit. Investigators believe drugs or alcohol may have played a factor in this crash. The French fire continues to burn its way through the Kern River Valley. The wildfire has grown to more than 22,000 acres. Containment still sitting at just 19% as of the last update. Crews are reminding everyone conditions are dangerous and can change by the minute. So if you are asked to evacuate, leave. Evacuations continue in Afghanistan less than 24 hours after a deadly suicide bombing attack at the Kabul airport. At least 95 Afghans and more than a dozen U.S. soldiers were killed. More than 1,000 American citizens are still in the region this morning.
An update now on a story we brought you yesterday. Convicted killer Parker Chamberlain has been found suitable for parole 20 years after stabbing his mother to death at the age of 15. The decision by a panel of the Board of Parole Hearings came yesterday during a nearly 4-hour hearing. Chamberlain was tried as an adult and convicted of murder in the grisly 2001 slaying of 40-year-old Tory Lynn Knapp. When asked why he should be released, Chamberlain said he was deeply remorseful and has managed to identify and replace character traits that led to the crime. Next comes a review process that can last months before the matter goes before Governor Gavin Newsom, who can block Chamberlain's release.
17 News is your local election headquarters, and recall candidate and conservative radio talk show host Larry Elder is facing more scrutiny from other candidates this morning. This time for his past comments on drugs and how the government should stop enforcing laws around them. 17's Ashley Zavala has the story.
Republican recall candidate Larry Elder facing more criticism Thursday for his past statements on recreational drugs. In a 2019 Fox News interview, Elder said drug abuse and homeless problems in cities like San Francisco will not be solved by government intervention because they are moral and spiritual issues. In a 2016 interview on the Rubin Report, Elder said he supported government getting out of drug enforcement at the federal and state level. Other Republican recall replacement candidates reacting.
For him to suggest that it's dangerous, it's wrong, and it really shows how out of touch he is with Californians and what's going on in our great state. To say that it's okay to do heroin and methamphetamine, out in public places, that's crazy.
It was disappointing that Larry was not there at the debate. I think it's important if you're going to run the 5th largest economy in the world, I think you ought to face the press and face the voters, frankly.
The new scrutiny against the polling frontrunner comes after candidates condemned Elder for his comments about women and allegations from his ex-fiancée he brandished a gun at her. Both Faulkner and Caitlyn Jenner have urged Elder to drop out of the race.
He's not the type of person that we want as governor of this state.
The California Republican Party has not endorsed a candidate. Chairwoman Jessica Milan Patterson says this is exactly what the party wanted candidates to do.
And each one of these candidates is, one, going to have to make the case to Californians throughout the state why they would be the best person to succeed this governor, and two, defend their own records. So I think that this is healthy. I think that this is good for Californians.
Elder's campaign would not respond to a request for comment. In Sacramento, Ashley Zavala, 17 News.
17 Crime Watch this morning. The Bakersfield Fire Department is asking for the public's help finding a man believed to be involved in multiple local fires. The department says the fires occurred near Chester Avenue and 19th Street. He was last seen wearing light-colored pants, a black and green sweater, and light-colored tennis shoes. Anyone with information is asked to call the Fire Investigation Unit at 326-3699 or email arson@bakersfieldfire.us.
Police in Ridgecrest seized guns and drugs stemming from an alleged firearms sale. This all started last month when police say 2 teenagers were trying to sell firearms in a parking lot. Officers arrested the teens and, through the investigation, determined that one of the teens' neighbors was involved. Officers searched the trailer of 44-year-old Aaron Roden and found guns, ammunition, and drugs. Roden is a convicted felon and is not allowed to own a gun. Police arrested Roden and booked the 2 teens into juvenile hall.
5:36 from our 17 News follow-up file. The search continues for a man from Oildale, first reported missing back in April. Now officials offering a cash reward for information. 68-year-old Charles Prunty's family describes him as friendly and soft-hearted and a familiar face around town. But they've received no tips about where he might be or what may have happened to him. The last time they saw him was April 10th when he left the Highland Knolls Mobile Estates. The sheriff's office says he drives a new white Ford Ranger 4-door truck with paper dealer plates. Prunty is diabetic and does not have his medication. His family says he's also lost weight since his photo was taken and he may have a beard. Kern's secret witness is now offering a $5,000 reward for information that leads to Prunty. Just call 322-4040.
The city of Bakersfield has upgraded its free mobile app with new features. The app lets you report issues directly to city staff. And some of those new features include adding a service request option for deceased animals. Plus, you can report illegal dumping and abandoned shopping carts. So far this year, the city says it has responded to an average of 1,500 service requests made through the app each month. The app has been downloaded nearly 17,000 times since its launch in 2014.
Looking ahead, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Kern County is holding their annual Walk Like Mad fundraiser next month. The event's one of the largest fundraising walks and runs in town. It brings together people from our community to march, rally, and run for the cause. Our community has seen at least 4,000 DUI arrests made nearly every year, according to the Kern County District Attorney's Office, with nearly 12 DUI arrests per day. Kern County ranks worst in the state for DUI injury-related crashes and second most in the U.S.
Portrait of a Warrior Gallery is partnering with Houchin Blood Bank for a mobile blood drive in downtown Bakersfield. It is happening tomorrow from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. at 1925 I Street. Donors are encouraged to schedule an appointment beforehand, but walk-ups are welcome. Every donor will also be entered into a drawing for a new Chevrolet Trailblazer. You can make an appointment online at hcbb.com. Welcome back in your 17 Health Watch. Moderna is set to begin clinical trials of an HIV vaccine that uses mRNA technology, the same technology that led to the success of the COVID-19 vaccines. KRON 4's Taylor Basaki has the story.
HIV remains to be a leading cause of death for some groups around the world and in the United States, 4 decades after the start of the epidemic. According to the CDC, about 1.2 million people live with HIV in the United States, and nearly 16,000 people died from HIV-related illnesses in 2018.
We have been trying to have an HIV vaccine and make an HIV vaccine almost since the beginning of the HIV epidemic, because if you could have a shot that would either prevent HIV or even those who have HIV get them off treatment, which is called therapeutic vaccination, it would be an incredible thing. And all vaccine candidates up to date and large trials have failed to date.
However, as infectious disease doctor at UCSF, Monica Gandhi explains, there's now a glimmer of hope. Moderna will begin the first human trials of an HIV vaccine that uses mRNA technology, the same technology that developed the effective COVID-19 vaccines. She says this HIV vaccine is expected to work in the same way.
The idea of mRNA technology is to take a piece of the virus. For COVID, it's the spike protein, and for HIV, it's a little piece of the HIV virus. And you yourself make the protein in your body, which makes you have high levels of that protein, and then you raise an immune response against it.
Next month, Moderna will begin the HIV vaccine trials in 56 adults ranging in ages from 18 to 50 years old, all of whom do not have HIV. The participants will test 2 combinations of the vaccine and be monitored for signs of immune response and any adverse effects.
This idea, when you've already started in primate studies and it looks good, and now we're moving it over to human trials, is the hope is that the person who gets the vaccine makes their own immune response, what are called broadly neutralizing antibodies, and you yourself literally have antibodies in your bloodstream that will repel HIV if you ever get exposed.
Taylor Bisacki reporting. The trials are expected to end in the spring of 2023. Doctors call this a tremendous achievement for not just a COVID or future HIV vaccine, but vaccines as a whole, and say we could see a lot more uses of this mRNA technology in the future.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.